Good evening and welcome to the Costa Book Awards, and a special welcome to everyone joining us via the live stream tonight. Hello, it's great to have you with us. Recently described by Radio 4's Front Row programme as the People's Book Prize, these much-loved awards are celebrating a milestone 50th anniversary this year, and we'll hear more about that in just a moment. Tonight we are celebrating 5 terrific books that anyone and everyone can enjoy. It's certainly true to say that each of this year's 5 category-winning books offers something very special. Before we go any further, let's hear from the CEO of Costa Coffee, Jill McDonald.
Good evening. On behalf of all of us at Costa Coffee, it is my pleasure to welcome you to tonight's Costa Book Awards ceremony. 2021 marked a big milestone for Costa Coffee as we celebrated not only our 50th anniversary, but also 50 years of the Book Awards, a prize we are enormously proud of. We really understand the power of a good read and a great cup of coffee. They complement each other perfectly. Over the last 2 years, the pandemic has affected everyone's day-to-day lives in one way or another. And if we didn't know before, we now understand how important the joy of reading is for so many people during such a challenging time, whether it provides escapism, laughter, or just a little bit of relaxation. It was recently reported that book sales in the UK in 2021 were the highest they have been in over a decade, which just shows how much we love to read. Tonight, we are toasting half a century of celebrating and recognising some of the most enjoyable books published in the UK and Ireland. The list of previous winners of these awards includes some of the best-selling authors of the last 50 years, as well as trailblazing, diverse and fresh voices, tackling a broad range of themes and ideas. And we are honoured to play our part in helping both these new and established talents reach a wider audience of readers. Before we begin tonight's ceremony, I would like to take the opportunity to thank our category judges for their hard work in shortlisting yet another outstanding collection of accessible, highly readable contemporary books, books that people won't want to put down. Huge congratulations to all the winning and shortlisted authors across the 5 categories, as well as the Costa Short Story Award. I would also like to thank our Short Story Award readers and judges who have chosen 3 more wonderful stories this year. Finally, before I hand back to Penny, I would like to leave you with a short trip down memory lane. Thank you and have a lovely evening.
Extraordinary books that are getting public attention, and that has to be good.
And the winner
is The Cutout Girl by Barbara.
H is for Hawk by Helen MacDonald.
Days Without End by Sebastian Barry.
Thank you very much to Jill, and what an amazing 50 years it's been for the awards. It's hard to believe that it's been a whole year since The Mermaid of Black Conch by Monique Roffey was announced as the 2020 Costa Book of the Year. What a year it's been for her. Monique learnt she was the overall Book of the Year winner last year in a virtual ceremony. And here she is to tell us what an extraordinary 12 months has followed since that moment last January.
The winner of the Costa Book of the Year award is The Mermaid of Black Conch by Monique Roffey.
Gosh.
Congratulations.
Winning this prize has been so utterly breathtaking and astounding. Within half an hour, there was like 2 or 3 photographers on my doorstep. The book is still riding the wave of the Costa Prize. A year later, we've now sold it in 13 different countries, including Japan. Then we had many people wanting to buy the film rights, including some very famous people, a very famous actor. All through the year, I've been speaking at events, festivals, met loads of interesting people, had a blast. The other very big opportunity was I get to write another book, which I thought I would never get to write. So I can't wait to find out who has won the prize this year, because I know what's coming for them, and I would just say enjoy every moment of it.
And so to this evening's official proceedings, and we're going to kick off with the Costa Short Story Award. This award is also celebrating a birthday. Its 10th anniversary year, and more than 800 stories were submitted anonymously to the award this year. The final 3 were selected by the judges, Kit Duvall, Sarah Franklin, Joe Haddo, Adele Parks and Simon Trewin. Now, the public voted online for its favourite, and the identities of the 3 shortlisted authors were revealed just a couple of weeks ago. They are Lindsay Gillespie for Pholus Dactylus. Sal Schreivel, ex-villain, is selling seafood on the seashore when his old life comes looking for him. Matthew Hurt for A Man in Half, finally facing up to a mystifying disappearance. An isolated former magician breaks a lifelong spell. And L.E. Yates for Sunblock. It's Sammy's last chance to tell her dying friend a secret, but the hospital visit leads to an unexpected road trip. I'm delighted to have been joined on stage by Short Story Award judge, presenter, writer, podcast host, Joe Haddo, to present the prizes. You actually got something to hand over. The Costa Short Story Award is unique in that it's judged anonymously and decided by public vote. And so here are the results of this year's vote. In reverse order, in 3rd place, it's Lindsay Gillespie for Pholus Dactylus. In 2nd place, it's Matthew Hurt for A Man in Half. And well done, Matthew. And so in 1st place, many congratulations to Ellie Yates, the 2021 Costa Short Story Award-winning writer of Sunblock. And huge congratulations to Ellie Yates, Matthew Hurt and Lindsay Gillespie, and we wish them all continued future success. So now to the 5 Costa Book Awards categories. 934 entries, the highest number ever received in one year, were submitted for this year's awards, from which the category judges shortlisted 20 terrific books, some of the very best published in the UK and Ireland in 2021. The 5 books that made it to the top are truly exceptional, all of them worthy winners. And I'm delighted to have been joined on stage by this year's Chair of Judges, BBC News journalist and broadcaster, Rita Chakrabarti, who's going to be presenting each of the authors with a letterpress certificate created specially to mark the 50th year of the awards. And each of the category winners also gets £5,000. So first up, the Costa First Novel Award, and the judges, audio producer and books journalist Dimpna Flynn, novelist, memoirist and filmmaker Zhao Lugo, and bookseller at the Book Hive in Norwich, Joe Hedinger. They read 150 books and shortlisted The Manning Tree Witches by A.K. Blakemore, Fault Lines by Emily Itami, and The Stranding by Kate Sawyer. They described their winner, Open Water, as deeply moving, searingly intimate, and just so now. Here's Caleb Azuma Nelson to tell us more.
Open Water is a novel about love in its many different forms, in expression and in community and in rhythm. It's a novel about finding freedom in the smallest of spaces. My two main characters, the man is a photographer and the woman is a dancer who meet in a bar in southeast London. They're both really engaged and interested in this idea of rhythm. You know, it's these everyday moments that really make up our lives. Southeast London specifically was its own character. It's where I was born, it's where I still live. For me, the intrigue is in this group of people who have left West Africa and the Caribbean and have come there to make new homes and what that experience feels like. You want to tell her that in this instant, one which was filled with the fullness of time, you loved this man, loved him like kin. It's also a novel about the love that I have for black art and for black expression in its many different forms. One of the big things I was trying to do when writing this book was to bridge the gap between emotion and expression, the way that those pieces of art can make us feel. It's a really humbling feeling to put out this work that I put so much into, and to have that same energy being reciprocated and recognised, it feels really special. To be named Costa Book of the Year would just be... yeah, you can see I'm grinning. It would be wonderful.
And here is the winner of the Costa First Novel Award, Caleb Azuma Nelson. Next, it is the Costa Biography Award, and the judges this year were Waterstone's senior retail manager, Jonathan Green, journalist in the Times and the Sunday Times Daily News podcast host, Manveen Rana, and the novelist, biographer and journalist, Andrew Wilson. They read 231 books and shortlisted Consumed, a Sister's Story by Arifa Akbar, The Moth and the Mountain, a true story of love, war and Everest by Ed Caesar, and Free, Coming of Age at the End of History by Lee Ippey. The judges described their unanimous winner as an epic, immersive, cinematic telling of an extraordinary life that reads like a top-rate thriller. Here is John Preston to talk about his book, Fall, The Mystery of Robert Maxwell.
I was once in a room full of people, and Maxwell walked in and everybody stopped talking. I mean, outside Clint Eastwood movies, it really doesn't happen in life. And so pretty much from that moment on, I was fascinated by Maxwell. And he's still seen as the embodiment of corporate villainy in this country because he did this plainly wicked thing of taking money from the Mirror pension funds. I wanted to see if I could get behind that and try to find the forces that had shaped him. For his Christmas card in 1983, Maxwell chose a photograph of himself that had been taken at his birthday party. The photograph showed Maxwell and his wife Betty standing in the foreground, while behind them a firework display spelled out the words, "Happy Birthday, Bob," in enormous letters. The point at which everything starts to go awry is really when he becomes obsessed with owning a newspaper. Maxwell set in train a chain of events which led to the disintegration of his financial empire, his own mental and physical disintegration, and ultimately his death. The story of Maxwell's life is like a terrible morality tale of someone for whom nothing was ever enough. Winning the Costa Biography Award, my ego is now the size of a prize marrow, and it was considerably smaller before. To be named Costa Book of the Year would unquestionably exceed my wildest expectations. Maybe I'd become as big-headed as Maxwell. But that's a risk I'm prepared to run.
Well, sadly, John can't be with us in person this evening. He is isolating, but as if by magic, he joins us remotely from his home in London. And John, I was hoping at this point to say congratulations for winning the Costa Biography Award, and I noticed that you've received your prize, but you haven't. It is in a cab. Apparently the check's in the post. There's a tunnel closed, there's a pigeon on the line. I have no idea what's happening, but anyway, congratulations. And there you are. And hopefully
That's
you'll
very
stay
kind.
with us anyway, John.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, just hang fire anyway. Who knows whether or not your marrow ego will indeed get any bigger. On to the Costa Poetry Award now. 126 entries were read by the poet and copywriter Rishi Dastadar, poet Ian Duig and cultural journalist and critic Maya Jaggi. They shortlisted All the Names Given by Raymond Antrobus, A Blood Condition by Kayo Chingonyi, and Eat or We Both Starve by Victoria Kennefic. The judges said their winner was the real deal and a page-turner that made us want to punch the air with joy. Here's Hannah Lowe to tell us more about her collection, The Kids.
The book is broadly about teaching and learning, and its inspiration comes from my 10 years spent as a sixth form teacher in London. It's also about my own experiences of familial love, romantic love, and the last section is written for my young son, sort of learning to negotiate the world. After I left teaching, I began to think how profoundly those years had shaped my thinking about politics, race, the legacies of empire, and I began to sketch out just a few poems. But in the end, I realised I had a collection. Boredom hangs like a low cloud in the classroom. Each page we read is a step up a mountain in gluey boots. Even the clock face is pained, and yes, I'm sure now, ticking slower. If gloom has a sound, it's the voice of Leroy reading Frankenstein aloud. What might happen for a lot of people is that their experiences of poetry in education puts them off. Maybe they feel that poems are like codes that need to be broken. I believe that poetry should reach out a friendly hand and say, come with me. I'm absolutely delighted to have won. It was an honour to be on the shortlist. To be named Costa Book of the Year, it would augment poetry's status, I think, to a really broad audience. Finding something of themselves in the poems, it would be extraordinary, yeah.
And here is the winner of the Costa Poetry Award, Hannah Lowe. And on to the Costa Novel Award. A staggering 233 books in this category were read by author Jessie Burton, Blackwell's bookseller Charlie Bush, and journalist Sarah Shafi. Their shortlist comprised The High House by Jessie Greengrass, The Fortune Men by Nadifa Mohammed, and The Island of Missing Trees by Alif Shafak. They said that their winner was a masterpiece of storytelling and craft. Let's hear more from Claire Fuller about her novel, Unsettled Ground.
Unsettled Ground is about 51-year-old twins, Jeannie and Julius, who live in rural isolation and poverty in a cottage in Wiltshire with their mother. It's like a coming-of-age story, except they're 51. They live physically on the edge of the village, but they also kind of metaphorically, I think, live on the margins of society. I didn't set out to do this, but I think writing about rural poverty, it's quite an important thing for people to find out about and learn about. She goes to the caravan step and looks in. The smell assaults her. Fungal, damp wood, and the urine stink of animal, maybe even human. Through the murky underwater light, she sees dirty plywood, a curved ceiling, lino curling at the edges of the floor, green mould in the corners. This can't be the place. The inspiration for Unsettled Ground was a caravan in the woods that I came across that was derelict, dilapidated, the windows had been smashed. And I just started thinking, who would have lived here? What were their lives like? So sense of place really reflects character, and character reflects sense of place, very, very much so in this novel. To win the Costa Novel Award, I'm absolutely delighted, and it's been judged against lots of other amazing books. You know, it makes me think I must be doing something right. Some people do like this, so therefore I better get on and write the next book. It would be amazing to be named Costa Book of the Year. It would just be more recognition, which would be very, very nice.
Please welcome the winner of the Costa Novel Award, Claire Fuller. Finally, the Costa Children's Book Award. This year's judges were the owner of the Little Ripon Bookshop, Jill Edwards, author Sweetie Halls, and writer, podcaster and school librarian Lucas Maxwell. From a total entry of 194 books, they chose for their shortlist Maggie Blue and the Dark World by Anna Goodall, The Midnight Guardians by Ross Montgomery, and The Boy Who Made Everyone Laugh by Helen Rutter. The judges described the winning book as a wonder that will enrich all who read it. Let's hear more from Manjeet Mann about her book, The Crossing.
The Crossing is a verse novel following two teenagers from opposite worlds. You have Natalie, who lives in Dover, and Sammy, who lives in Eritrea. Natalie's world has fallen apart. She's just lost her mum, her brother's joined a far-right group, and she decides to swim the channel to raise money for refugees. Sammy, his father's been murdered. He has to leave Eritrea, and he takes his perilous journey across North Africa and through Europe, trying to get to the UK. His blood seeps into my shirt, staining my skin. I breathe into the holes in his chest. Our salty tears mix with his iron blood, which soaks into our skin, our hair, our guilt that we live and he doesn't. Mama looks at me. In this moment, she is still and serious. I can't hide you forever, Samuel. It is time. They will come for you next. I can't help but always want to deal with the raw and the difficult subjects. I think I probably always will. There's a lot of kids out there that are like dealing with a lot of hard stuff. I've got teenagers saying, oh my God, this is how I felt, this is my story. My reaction to winning the Costa Children's Book Award, I just find myself like remembering that I've won it. Like I just can't stop smiling. If I was named Costa Book of the Year, I think my head would explode. It just feels too overwhelming to even think about it. Oh, but it would mean the world.
Please welcome the winner of the Children's Book Awards, Manjeet Mann. And so there we are, this year's 5 fabulous contenders for the title of Costa Book of the Year 2021. Obviously, congratulations to them all. I'm now delighted to hand over at this point to this year's Chair of Judges, Rita Chakravarti.
Penny, thank you. I have been so thrilled to be the Chair of Judges and to be part of these awards, which have for 50 years celebrated the best in finely crafted and accessible writing. My fellow judges and I spent several hours in vigorous and passionate debate as we chose the Costa Book of the Year, and I have to say there was so much love and support for each and every one of these books. We were taken from a world of rural poverty to the dark machinations of a media mogul. We considered life in an inner-city comprehensive, a love story that was a celebration of black culture, and a tale of two teenagers seeking refuge in very different ways. This was not an easy decision, but a winner did emerge. And before I tell you who it is, let's hear from my fellow judges about the winning book.
It's one that's full of insight, it's full of humanity.
It is so evocative. It takes a particular experience and draws on universal feelings.
Oh, I loved this book. I thought it was deeply insightful.
Intellectually engaging and emotionally challenging.
Really different, intuitive, compassionate.
I loved it immediately when I read it.
It took me on a journey and I felt I was in the hands of a very, very talented writer.
I am delighted to announce that the winner of the Costa Book of the Year 2021 is The Kids by Hannah Lowe.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. Oh, I'm so delighted. God, what joy, like joy squared. My deep thanks to the judges, all of whom are thinkers and writers, people that I admire. And thanks very much to the Costa and all the work that goes on behind the scenes in this, the 50th anniversary of the Book Awards. Thanks too to my publisher, Blood Axe, tireless, fantastic publisher, the most amazing list of poets, of which I'm glad to be a part of. Thanks also to my agent, Isabel Dixon, and also my dear friend Madeline, who is here tonight and is there on the cover of The Kids back in 1993 when we were young. And the book is very much a love song to young people and to you, to the kids that I taught, who taught me so much. It's also a book about my teachers and, again, my deep appreciation and thanks to everyone that's taught me in my formal and informal education, particularly Mimi Calvati, the poet who has been my mentor now for years. And lastly, my thanks to my little boy, Rory, who I'm hoping is watching, who is learning about the world and teaching me every day and is the absolute heart of this book. And thank you, everyone. Thanks so much.
And while Hannah Lowe basks in the glory of being it's okay, no, you don't have to do anything more. It's just that you've won the Costa Book of the Year, the 2021. But many congratulations again to all of this year's fantastic winners and shortlisted authors. And thank you to everyone who's joined us tonight to celebrate them. Wherever you've tuned in from this evening, good night.